Hello, my name is Caden, and today I'm going to talk about the Oldsmobile today, and more specifically the speaker install, the rear speaker install, and kind of how I did it. And you'll notice I got my historic plates for this car just recently. So going into the rear here, the way you have to get these out, it's a little extensive, but it's not too bad. If you don't know how, the bottom bench here, you just have to like push against it and lift up real hard. It's got these those that slides into, and then the back seat, there's two 18mm nuts, and then it lifts off of these. You have to undo the third brake light. There's two Phillips screws in the side, and you're gonna have a little plate down here you'll want to remove. It's two 10mm bolts that comes out, and you've got this that here, but it's because it partially holds down these. Now these are just clipped in. There's little holes actually that these clip into. Whoops, hard to see. Well, there's one there, and one goes down first over the other. They slightly overlap, but anyway, if you've ever taken apart one of these before, you'll notice that there's these white clips that used to be here. You're gonna have two on each side, and there was a plastic bracket that'll wrap around the old 6x9. Now, if you're lucky, that bracket it is possible to detach that bracket, but considering the age of these cars, more than likely it's going to break. So what I've done is just drilled holes, and I've used machine screws with a nut and a washer on the other side. Now I am going to do this fourth one just because I want to make sure there's absolutely no vibrations coming from the speakers, considering they're sitting on just bare metal here. So you can do that for both sides. Now it is a little tricky because you do have to go through the trunk, and you'll have to measure the distance between these two and drill a hole. So we'll go to the trunk here and open it up, and I'll kind of show you more. It's got the auto leveling trunk, or not auto leveling, the electric trunk, the automatic latch. I kind of find it cool. Anyway, now I lost my tape measure. I recommend you use one, but what I did, I have like 50 feet of speaker wire just measured and cut, so I could go down here and basically just measure from one hole to the other, because you're not going to be able to get a drill through the top part because of the glass back here. Your drill's going to be too tall, and you're not going to be able to drill straight, so you'll have to drill from the bottom for the back two, which is why I have this. Now the front two, of course, you just drill right through where the speaker holes are on the speaker. Now for these back ones, you have to cut and measure. Well, you don't have to cut, but you know what I mean. You measure and you just drill your hole, and I've managed to get pretty good with it. I just drill. I made these back ones a little larger because I was afraid I was going to make a mistake, but you really should only need about a 1/4 inch drill bit, and I forget what size these are, but pretty small. Machine screw, nut, washer. You can get a package of the nuts and washers. I mean, the nuts and the screws come in a pack, and then the washers are a pack. They were each 97 cents for a whole bag of them at Walmart. So that's what I did. I'm gonna drill the fourth one, but I kind of wanted to explain that if you've ran into trouble with install before, and especially the removal of them, because it's a lot different than my Bonneville here. As you can see, the 6x9s are just up top. Those speaker covers pry off, and there's screws that hold them down from the top. It's a lot easier. But on this car, it's a little different, and I do have an amp for these set up that I had laying around. I just ran it all through here, and that is a different project that I'm gonna talk about in just a few minutes. I ran it all the way. Oops. Of course, you're gonna have the power wire from the battery. I ran that up through the firewall there. And you might be wondering why I have this taken apart. No, it's not just because of the radio install, although you do need to get rid of this blue thing, which is quite a few screws to undo. And of course, I got a dash kit for it. Again, bought it at Walmart along with the amp kit. I don't sponsor Walmart, but I'm just saying you can get all these things for this at Walmart. The reason I have this open, I don't know, it's hard to see. I don't have a light. I could make that happen though. No, I can't right now. But if you don't know already, oh man, I really wish I had a light in there. Hold on, give me one moment. There we go. Now that I got a flashlight in here, if you don't already know what that is the heater core for this vehicle. Mine is so clogged, I can't even get heat out of this thing, even on a nicer day. It just barely blows anything. I've ran the car to operating temp while I've had this open, and these tanks warm up, but these fins, they stay pretty ice cold, which tells me all the little channels are blocked in there. It's easy enough for me to do. I just bought a replacement and the hoses for under the hood. Now to get to this, it's not too bad. Of course, you do need to take the, the wood bezel and this piece off. There's just a lot of hidden screws you have to find to do that. Of course, you'll need to take out the glove box. Now, one thing you will have to undo, and don't be scared to do this, there's this little arm. This is for the hot and cold actuator for the blend door. This arm is controlled by this little guy here. Well, it's not so little. There's this whole unit here, and that little blue piece, the rod clips into that little blue piece, and that'll spin, and it pulls open and close the blend door. There is a little cage you'll have to remove. It's down here somewhere. I don't know where it is at this time, but it's probably underneath one of these right now. But there's a little cage with a screw you undo, and you pop the arm out, and now it shouldn't necessarily pop out of that arm there, but because the little plastic piece at the end of this broke, it just does. So I'm gonna figure that out later. But once you do that, there are there's about 3 screws that hold this in. One of them is pretty hard to reach, but you'll need to get this out to be able to pull this cover back. And there are 2 screws in the front for this cover, and it just slides out, and there's your heater core. The harder part's undoing the hoses on the firewall side, but what I typically do, it's up to you if you want to do this, and depending how good of tools you have, you can just snap off the little outlets off the heater cores. Notice these have plastic tanks, while the little hose outlets are also plastic. I did that in my Bonneville, and it just made it so much easier. You just snap them off, and you can move the hoses up to get the clamp off and get the end of the plastic pieces out. Now, typically, I would recommend to replace those heater hoses. I am on this, but I didn't last time on my Pontiac because they were in pretty good shape, looked a little newer anyway. But for this, that's how I'd recommend. Now, you might need a helper to hold this heater core in and push the hoses on, but that's about it. So I've gotten quite a lot of work done on this, and if you didn't see my steering column pivot pin video, I got this all fixed. The tilt column no longer swings around like crazy, and it's a nice solid steering column that works. Everything works on it. And yeah, I've just been getting a lot done on this. Sorry I haven't been making many videos. It's some of this is kind of new to me, So I don't want to be making tutorials on stuff I really don't know what I'm doing on. So I just figured I'd kind of give an update and explain the speaker install and a little bit of the heater core. I'm just waiting on parts, but kind of just an update. I gotta clean the inside of this a little more, replace a few lights here and there, door switch for that side so the lights turn on when I open the door. And then of course I'm not gonna close that, it'll break that. And of course the body. This will be remedied when the weather gets a little nicer, because I gotta go travel to get the bumper for it. But anyway, that's gonna be it for this video. And again, I'll just show you one last time. This is how I'm doing the speaker install for this. A little extensive, but not too bad if you actually know what you're doing. But that's where we're at with this. I love these black and orange plates. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video update.